thank you everybody for tuning in to our pre-event for the Cross-Border Summit. And I really appreciate Thomas able to do this pre-event. He's up in Beijing and unfortunately can't make it down here to the south for this year's conference. So we decided to have an online webinar instead. So thank you for that, Thomas. You're the founder of Walk the Chat, which I'm sure many people here today know about. It's kind of like one of the main blogs in English for WeChat marketing information. And you have, how long now launched your shop solution, your online e-commerce? It's been about a year or so now?
It's been 9 months, yeah.
Nine months. And from what I hear and understand, it's doing pretty well. So congratulations. And I think you're like, similar like me. We're content marketers, right? So you give great value, just like today and on your blog, and that builds up people's trust and awareness of you, and returns that back with participating in your software. So there's about an hour of slides, and we want questions. We want to be a little interactive, but we will save that towards the end, everybody. And you can also send me questions while we're here. Thomas will be using his slide deck here about cross-border e-commerce via WeChat. So without further ado, Thomas, take it away.
Yeah, cheers. So yeah, I think I will not spend too much time on the slides. It's more to give a basis, because as you said, Mike, I think it's good to leave more time for the Q&A. But it will give an overview. So as Mike said, we specialize in doing cross-border e-commerce via WeChat. So we help basically foreign companies set up shops on WeChat and then ship to China from overseas. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about this market, and I'm going to talk about what are the mechanisms involved in selling cross-border. So first, I will talk a bit about what is the definition of WeChat e-commerce. So I'm not sure my other participants today mostly based in China or also outside China, because this is quite introductory. So depending on the audience, I might speed up through it or spend a bit more time.
I know a couple of them. Paulina's here. She's in Hong Kong. She's spent time. She does less coffee, also in South America into China. I'm not familiar with. Maybe we could do a quick poll, but I know Morton and some others are. I'll ask a poll and see how that goes.
Okay, I move forward in between. Yeah. So WeChat, as I think most of the audience knows, is the #1 social network in China. It makes up for about a third of the time that people spend on apps in China. And the whole Tencent ecosystem makes up for more than 50% of the time people spend on their phone, which is quite impressive. So that made WeChat a very sought-after target for marketers. And WeChat is much more than messaging. It also has the ability to have a social timeline, which is similar to Facebook. And most interestingly, has a wallet feature, which enables to get into payments, P2P transfers, and e-commerce. And that is the core of WeChat e-commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So most people, I just sent out a quick poll. Most are in China.
So I will go quickly through this part. So there are 4 ways for brands to communicate with end users via WeChat. 4 types of accounts: subscription, service, enterprise, and mini programs. The subscription and service accounts are the ones which are used mostly for marketing. And the main difference is a trade-off between visibility and number of notifications they can send. So the subscription accounts can send a push notification per day, but they have low visibility, while the service accounts can send 1 push notifications per week, actually 4 per month, but they are much more visible. They appear like friends on the chat window. And then you have enterprise accounts, which are used for internal communication inside companies. So they have unlimited notifications, but they require both the person to follow the account and the company to approve the follower. So yeah, and they need the WeChat ID of the user to do that. So it can only be with people you know. And WeChat mini programs, which are the latest addition to the ecosystem in January. And so far, they're not doing so well because they are not very good tools for marketing as of now. So some people use them for some offline application, but I won't really get into this because so far these mini programs are not very mature as of today. So these subscription and service accounts are main channels for marketing, but it's good to keep in mind that they are also a challenging channel because the subscription accounts are quite hidden because they are in this specific blue folder, and the service accounts are very intrusive. They are very in your face. As soon as they write something, it kind of gets on top of your timeline. It looks like a friend. So it puts a very high bar in terms of the quality of the content you have to send on service accounts so that you don't spam people and so that people keep following you. And of course, you can link to e-commerce through this bottom menus of the accounts, and this is what we call WeChat e-commerce. So the cross-border social e-commerce has been growing quite fast lately. So cross-border e-commerce itself has been growing at a 60% rate, and it is expected to do so for the foreseeable future. And interestingly, if we poll Chinese users and ask them how they like to buy, a lot of them actually like to buy directly from foreign websites. There are, of course, a lot of platforms like Tmall cross-border and Jingdong cross-border or Xiaohongshu, which enable to do cross-border. But a lot of Chinese users consider that somehow this is not real cross-border because most of the time the products are first shipped to China and then sent over to them. It does not come directly from the brand. So they tend to be a bit wary of Jingdong or Tmall, which are shipping from inside China. And they really like to be able to ship directly from the brand to be sure that the product is really the real thing. And if you look at how it's spread by tiers of city, it's mostly tier one cities which have the highest penetration of cross-border e-commerce, about a fourth of the population. But tier 4 cities also have a quite significant number of people who shop cross-border, 16%. It's also interesting to look at what people buy depending on the size of the city. So tier 1 cities tend to be more focused on healthcare, while tier 2 cities are focusing on luxury, and smaller cities on purchasing fashion cross-border. And a last trend which is combining with all of this is the rise of WeChat as a e-commerce channel. So between 2015 and the first quarter and 2016, the number of people who purchased by WeChat more than doubled. And this is happening through public accounts, through people sharing moments, through JD.com, which is integrated within WeChat, and through link to third-party apps. So we have a very interesting trend right now, which is the fact that people want to buy directly on foreign websites. And with WeChat, they have the opportunity to do so. Because before WeChat, people did not really trust third-party websites. If you took people to a website which is not Tmall or Jingdong or Taobao, they would not buy from it. But now with WeChat cross-border, you can actually take people to your WeChat accounts, then to a shop embedded within WeChat, have people log in with WeChat, pay with WeChat, and they will feel like they're staying in this same ecosystem of WeChat, and they will feel they are kind of on the WeChat equivalent of Tmall. They will keep feeling safe, and they will purchase. So there is this great opportunity of people wanting to buy directly from brands, and WeChat giving the opportunity for people to do so. So this is the theory. This is kind of the context around which cross-border happens. The next question is, how do you get started with cross-border e-commerce? So the first thing you need, of course, in order to get started with cross-border e-commerce is a WeChat account. And the WeChat account is the one we've seen before. Is kind of the equivalent of the Facebook page. Is what you're gonna use to gather your following and to send them push notifications. And there are 3 options for foreign companies to create WeChat accounts. So the first obvious one is to create a company in China. But of course, there is a cost to this. It takes time. Usually, I think most realistic timelines to create a WFI in China are at least 6 months. Some would say 3, but I think it depends on your luck at the specific time.
Okay.
So it's good if you have money to invest and if you have long-term plans in China. Beside creating a WeChat account, I think it makes sense for a lot of companies to create a WFI, but it only makes sense if the WFI is used for something else than simply WeChat. The second way is to apply to Tencent Overseas WeChat Accounts program. So actually, there is a special process for companies which are not in mainland China to actually create an account. And this includes companies which are in Hong Kong, but also companies in certain countries in Europe, like France and Germany. It includes Canada, US, UK. And if you are part of these selected countries, and if you're not in a sensitive industry, such as real estate or finance, you will be able to apply for this account. And the application process for this takes usually 1 to 2 months, more like 2 months, after which you will get a WeChat official account attached to your overseas business license. And the last option is to use another third-party business license to create the account. So it means you're going to use a WFI or a Chinese company which is registered in China, and use a business license to create your account. The account will show your name, your logo, your description, but it will still stay legally attached to this company. And it's not possible to transfer the ownership of these accounts, but it's kind of a complex process. It requires to have a notary actually validating the process in China. And until the transfer is done, you're still having a legal risk, because the account ultimately belongs to this third-party company. So let's say you go through an agency, and this agency decides that they're not happy with the terms of your contract and want to use the account as a way to blackmail you. It's completely possible for them, because you have basically no leverage. So it can be done if you're doing this with a very, very close friend who has a company, and you know he's going to be able to transfer the account later, or this kind of context where you have some way of feeling safe, or an agency you've been working with for a while and you feel very, very comfortable with them. But just be careful, because, and most importantly, when an agency tells you they're going to create an account for you, ask these questions so you know exactly what you're getting into. Are you getting your own account, or are you having this legal risk of having the company owning the account until they transfer it? And are they even willing to go through this complex process of transferring the account if you happen to, maybe in 1 or 2 years, create a WFI? So this was the account creation. So now you have your account. So the question is, how are you going to receive payments from China? So fortunately, there are very good solutions for that, which are WeChat cross-border payments and Alipay cross-border. So these solutions enable you to actually have people paying in renminbi, and upon payment, during the transaction, the money is automatically converted to USD or other currencies. It can be euros, British pounds, Hong Kong dollars, and so on and so forth, and sent to overseas accounts. And once you reach the settlement amount, which is usually 5,000 USD for both of these providers, all this money gets transferred to your overseas account, and there will be a 3% transaction fee. That's kind of a maximum. You can negotiate better terms with WePay or Alipay, but you're going to have a transaction fee which is going to be somewhere between 2% and 3% on these transactions. So this is actually a very efficient way to process payments cross-border because it's perfectly legal. It's WeChat Payment and Alipay, which handle the Forex exchange with their banking partner. You simply have to go through this review with WeChat Payment and Alipay. And then you can directly start accepting payments. So the problem with setting up directly with WeChat and Alipay is that, as all of the applications we've been talking about, they do take time. So one way to actually save time is to go through some distributors of WeChat Payment or Alipay. So you have a bunch of companies in various countries which are actually setting up some payment gateways which are integrated WeChat Payment, Alipay, and acting as agents of Tencent and Alibaba in their own country. So if you speak with the WeChat Payment team, they can, or if you speak with us, we can tell you. They're gonna give you the list of partners in your specific country that they're working with, and which are official partners of Tencent or Alibaba in Australia, in New Zealand, in Europe, in US. And these people will basically set up an account on their platform, and the payment will go through them and then to you, instead of going through Tencent and then directly to you. This basically helps you to have a much faster creation process, because this account creation process usually takes 1 to 2 weeks to go through these kind of distributors, because they already have the account set up. They just have to have your application validated by Tencent. Once you have this, you will be able to process payments in pretty much the same way as if you have your own WeChat cross-border payment account. Actually, sometimes the settlement amount will be lower. For some of these providers, the settlement amount is around 500 USD. So you will actually get the money faster than if you set up the account directly with Tencent. And other benefits include the fact that dealing with refunds is easier, because if you set up directly with Tencent, you can only refund with money you have not settled on the same day. So it means if I have only a sale once in a while, I won't be able to refund my customers easily, because if I have a sale today and then I have a sale in 3 days, and somehow I want to give this new customer a refund, I don't have money anymore on my Tencent account, so I'm not able to process the refund. So these are kind of the technicalities of the WeChat payment system. And if you go through these payment intermediaries, because they have one aggregated account, they enable you to avoid these kind of issues and to refund customers even 1 month after they made the purchase. So I really recommend going through this through these partners. I will like to talk quickly about logistics and taxes, although it's really not our core area of expertise. We focus more on the strictly e-commerce layer. But basically, you have a choice between bonded warehouse and direct shipping. I say more and more we find some good partners for bonded warehouse, which enables to have lower shipping costs, higher speed, and product and easier product return, which is really key, especially if you're working in industries with a lot of returns, such as fashion. The downside, of course, is that you have to have some kind of inventory stored in the warehouse, so it limits your SKUs and number of products. You might have some forex fluctuations, and you will have to have a bit more upfront investment. And several companies can help you with this cross-border process or custom clearance. And the last point I want to touch is about generating traffic. So there are a few ways to generate traffic. The most famous one, let's say, is WeChat Moments ads. So since a few actually months, it's possible for foreign companies to advertise on WeChat. So you can advertise with WeChat Moments actually to people who are in China. You can also advertise to Chinese tourists who are traveling, who are currently outside China, targeting specific countries, or who have been traveling. So you can, let's say you sell products from Japan. You can say, I would like to target people who have been traveling to Japan over the last months, which could be interesting in order to get some more qualified visitors and buyers, and also to somehow use this as a proxy of the purchasing power of potential buyers. So this has enabled to target for location, gender, font technology, gender, education level, interest, although this is quite narrow. It's only 18 categories and 122 subcategories, and the WeChat behavior of users. So if they are following your public account, if they've been using coupon, or if they interacted in some of your previous ads. The problem with this ads pricing, minimum investment is 50,000 RMB, but actually now there is a special pilot which enables to start as early as 10,000 RMB if you're in Europe. The problem is that they have very high CPM. So CPM is cost per mil, is a cost for 1,000 impressions of the ads. And so 150 puts it around $20, more than $20 of CPM, which is crazy for Western standards. So it means that these ads.
Oops. Uh-oh. Seems like we lost Thomas. Oh, Thomas, are you still there? It cut out. I'm not hearing.
Yeah, it's actually in my screen. He's out also. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, I think it's an internet issue. Sorry, everybody. Give me. I see his photo. We'll fix this. Let's see.
Yeah, I just switched to a different network.
Okay.
Maybe you can hear me clearly now.
I hear you now. Yeah. Now it's clear.
When did you stop? On which slide?
You were talking about the $20 for a CPM.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good. So we didn't lose too much. Sounds good. Let me connect back to the share screen. Okay, great. I was afraid you missed like half of the
I know
presentation.
That sometimes happens, but I'll just try to send you messages as soon as I see.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was saying, so the CPM is quite expensive, so it makes it not a very good tool for direct conversions. It's more of a branding tool. Another type of ads you can use also cross-border is WeChat banner ads, which appear at the bottom of WeChat articles. So the interesting thing with these ads is they can have a large variety of action calls. So you can ask people to follow your account, to go to a web page, to claim coupon, to directly go to a product inside WeChat, or to download an app. So it's quite interesting in this kind of very targeted action calls. And the CPM is much more interesting because it's between 15 and 25 RMB, and also has a CPC model, which is even more interesting, starting around 0.5 RMB per click. So this is actually much more meaningful in terms of actually driving conversions. I think this is still somehow experimental. The click-through rate on these ads, as you might know, is not very high. But if you want to basically get as many followers for the amount of investment you put, they actually make a lot of sense. And the other way of targeting in cross-border, which maybe makes more sense if you're new in the market, is key opinion leaders, which are quite targeted and cost efficient in order to start growing your market. So as you might know, key opinion leaders are about native advertising, which is gonna usually be a soft piece of content mentioning your products and services. And if you want to find this KOL, there are a bunch of platforms which can help you do that. The biggest one is called newrank.cn. They are basically the kind of big analytics platform for key opinion leaders. They have all the data that you might want about KOL. So it's useful to use this platform if you find a KOL and then you want to actually check what is their history, the number of followers, what they've been writing about, the number of views over time, and they will give you a very good way to visualize this data. And you have other lower quality platforms like Weishoju and WeMedia. I think Weishoju and WeMedia must really be taken with care because they have a lot of fake KOLs inside the mix. And you have a higher quality platforms. One I don't have on this slide is called Parklu, Parklu, and which is maybe higher end with some high quality KOLs and can be interesting if you have a bit more budget to invest in KOL marketing. And the last way to market, of course, is social marketing. So basically, it's the ability to use your current user base to promote. And that's the power of WeChat, is the ability to actually get new customers from your existing customers. And group buying is a great way to do it, which is really fit for WeChat because WeChat already has the social graph embedded in it. So if you have a promotion which is, let's say, 30% off if 3 people buy this product, this might actually really help you drive some additional traction. And I'm going to finish on a few really quick case studies. So Sasa, one of the biggest Hong Kong cosmetic retail platforms, is selling cross-border. So they included WeChat payment, WeChat login, but also some flash sales and weekly sales to increase engagement. Because one of the things with WeChat is it's not a search-driven ecosystem. It's an impulse-based ecosystem. So when people buy on WeChat, they don't necessarily buy because they're looking for something. They buy because they feel empowered to buy something right now. So that's why KOL works so well, because key opinion leaders actually create this kind of spark of interest that, oh, I really have to buy this thing now because it's recommended to me. And usually it's best to combine a KOL campaign with a flash sales or limited edition. So that's what Sasa is doing by having a lot of flash sales, a lot of short-term discounts in order to create this short-term excitement and get people to buy right now. Lotte is also doing something interesting by enabling people to purchase online and then pick up offline. So this is an interesting use of WeChat Ecommerce to do some auto integration when people are getting to the duty free in the airport, so that they can, while they're still in the plane, start purchasing things, save time, and then pick them up inside the shop. And the last case study I would like to talk about is one we worked on with an agency in New Zealand. And basically, we helped Honey brand in New Zealand set up a WeChat account, cross-border payment account, and then ran a KOL campaign through a video KOL. And they generated within a week about 10,000 USD of sales, which is quite interesting because it shows that WeChat is really a way for new brands to get into the market really, really short term with some really reasonable investment. And of course, this is meant to scale over time. 10,000 USD is not the end of it. It's just the beginning. It's the way to actually put a first foot in China and then grow from there. Mike, you're back, right?
I'm back. Do you hear me right? Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, so Carol,
We already took some. Yeah, we already took a couple of questions from Carol.
Great.
And one question from Martin.
Great.
So I don't know if you have more.
Yeah, I mean, I have a list here. But basically, my questions are, a lot of people are always so intimidated, like KOLs. So what's the budget, do you think? I was impressed with your numbers about that, your Honey client in New Zealand. Maybe I'd be curious to know some numbers. that were used approximately for that kind of ROI, or maybe for the
Yeah,
KOLs or something, any kind of details or numbers you're willing to or able to share.
Yeah, so this kind of KOL will typically cost around 5,000 USD. So KOLs don't come cheap, and there's a kind of economies of scale in terms of return on investment from KOLs. So if you get a very small KOL, I mean, getting a lot of very small KOL won't get you in any return. So there is a kind of tipping point after 50,000 followers. KOLs start to bring better returns. And I would say the sweet spot would be somewhere between 50,000 and 200,000 followers. Some accounts manage to retain very high levels of engagement after 200K followers, but it's a small number. Usually after 200K, maybe they've been running a lot of ads for a while, so they're losing some of the engagement. And this kind of 50 to 200,000 followers typically will range between 20 and 50,000 renminbi of investment, and they will get you somewhere between 30 to 80,000 views on the push notifications. Conversion rates will depend very widely on industries and on the products and on your images and on the specific wording of the KOL. So there are a lot of parameters, but typically we recommend our clients to do at least one KOL campaign a month and to account for about 5,000 USD per campaign. So it's not cheap to get started on WeChat. And actually what we talked about, setting up the shop, the logistics, the payments, is the technical part. It needs to be figured out, but it's not the part which is going to be the most expensive in terms of operations. What's going to really cost money is driving traffic. And if you really want to be successful on WeChat in China, the place where you're going to spend money is on marketing. And yes, it would be a mistake to spend too much money in the infrastructure, because you might have the most perfect e-commerce solution that you custom made and spend 100,000 USD in building this perfect website. But this maybe you're better off using a more lightweight solution and putting all this money in traffic. Except if you have, of course, 2 million USD to spend, then you can afford to spend 100K in just the IT side.
I totally agree. I always try to reiterate that to everybody. Like, so many people get caught up in the building of something, whether it's WeChat or a startup or anything. I think marketing or testing the market is always really important. So I don't know if I hope you got a chance to talk about your solution. I don't know if I missed that part, but I'd love for you to maybe talk about, you definitely focus on overseas or clients or people in China. I guess it's more for Western business owners for your solution.
Yeah, businesses outside China. So our solution basically is quite simple to explain. It's like all these little WeChat shops, Weidian, but it's cross-border. So it's basically, you can check it if you go on our website, which is wozochat.com. And if you simply click on create a shop, it will generate a shop for you. You can enter your email, it will generate a shop for you. And once you purchase items from this store, the money gets transferred to USD and gets sent overseas. So that's pretty straightforward and helps when it integrates the WeChat cross-border payment and Alipay cross-border payment I talked about earlier, and enables people outside China to sell in China without having to worry about setting up their own shop.
Yep.
I mean, they have their own shop, but they don't need to develop it.
True. Yeah, it's a great solution, and I think the big one is it's also English, right? Most of the other ones don't even have any English support. So and
I mean, for people who are selling from China to China, I would recommend to use Yozan or Weidian, like the local alternatives. I wrote some guides on how to use Weidian and Yozan, which are available for free. So I think the two reasons to use our platform is because of cross-border and because it's bilingual on the front-end side. So if you're targeting expats, it also makes sense. Otherwise, if you're targeting Chinese and you have a company in China, then you can use Weidian or Yozan. makes more sense actually, because it's gonna be cheaper. And if your end goal is to get the money in China, then there is no point in the world cross-border thing.
Yep. Great. I think I mean, I guess I'd like to always talk about the hustle mode. Like even before they have an official account, I think people could even use their own moments or groups. It's kind of like guerrilla marketing, right? But there's ways, especially if they're local, like in a specific city of China, they're targeting. I think especially if they're targeting expats. Easter just passed, and I was at an Easter lunch, and they had the local products locally shared there. So I think people can penetrate a decent amount, maybe if they pick one city with a lower budget. Would you say is to get started? Or
yeah, we have clients selling very well through WeChat Moments. So we also have a few local clients which are using our interface, as I said, because it's bilingual, selling to expats and local. And most of these local companies, they do basically moments marketing. So they just use a personal account which is branded for the company and share on moments, and they do quite well. Some of them are among our top sellers because they just managed to hustle and to get quite a few orders in every day, and they get as much volume as some of the companies which are investing quite heavily in key opinion leaders, because it's very, very personal marketing. So I guess for these players, they already have kind of a network to start with that they can leverage. And the personal account can have up to 5,000 friends. So with one or a few personal accounts, you can actually reach a sizable audience. And if you're doing a business like F&B where you have a lot of repeat purchase, it does make sense.
Cool. All right. I think if there's nobody else with questions, I mean, I really appreciate Thomas's sharing so openly. And I think I'll have to talk to you later about the cross-border summit in Beijing. We can get you more involved maybe in the future up there. But this has been a great session.
Good.
Yeah, this has been a great session, and I always support you and your content marketing and your business. So we will represent you at the conference this weekend down here in the South. And
awesome.
whenever you're willing to come down, even if it's doing a special event just for you, I'm sure a lot of people would like to meet you. So thank you everybody for your time, and please give us feedback about the format here, and maybe we can do more of these online webinars. So thanks everybody. Enjoy your Tuesday or Monday night if you're up late in the US. Okay?
Yeah. Thanks everyone.
Thank you everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And thanks Carol too. Thank you.